Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571, carrying 45 passengers and crew, including the Old Christians Club rugby team, crashed in the Andes on October 13, 1972. The inexperienced co-pilot mistakenly believed they had overflown their destination and descended into the mountains, leading to a fatal collision. Search efforts failed to locate the wreckage, and after 8 days, rescue operations were called off. Survivors endured extreme conditions for 72 days, facing sub-zero temperatures, starvation, and resorting to cannibalism for survival. 2 survivors, Nando Parado and Roberto Canessa, trekked for 10 days to find help, eventually leading to their rescue. Despite the tragedy, the news of their survival made international headlines. The crash was attributed to pilot error, compounded by adverse weather conditions and navigation mistakes. Several passengers and crew perished immediately, while others succumbed to injuries and exposure over time. Rescue attempts were hindered by the remote and inaccessible crash site. The survivors' resilience and resourcefulness amidst unimaginable hardship captured global attention. Their ordeal highlighted the strength of the human spirit and the lengths people will go to survive. In the first week after the crash, 5 more passengers and crew died, leaving 28 survivors. They fashioned the fuselage into a shelter, using luggage and snow. Facing starvation, they resorted to eating chocolate bars and leather from the seats. Desperate for rescue, they heard news of the search being called off, leading to despair. With no alternative, they turned to cannibalism, consuming the bodies of the deceased. An avalanche further threatened their survival, burying 8 more people. Despite facing extreme conditions and loss, some survivors embarked on an expedition to seek help. Their journey was fraught with challenges, including freezing temperatures and blizzards. Despite efforts to make a radio call for help, their plan failed. The survivors endured further deaths due to infection and physical decline. With hope dwindling, they knew they had to leave to find help, spurred on by news of the search resuming. During their time stranded in the Andes, the survivors realized they needed to climb over the mountains to have any chance of rescue. However, they also knew they had to find a way to survive the freezing temperatures they would encounter at higher elevations, especially during the night. They ingeniously fashioned a sleeping bag using insulation from the rear of the fuselage, electrical wire, and waterproof fabric from the plane's air conditioning unit. The idea for the sleeping bag came about through brainstorming among the survivors, with Carlitos Paez taking on the task of sewing the patches together. Others, like Coche Inciarte, Gustavo Zerbino, and Fido Strauch, joined in the sewing efforts. Once completed, the sleeping bag provided insulation for the 3 men who would embark on the expedition to seek help: Nando Parado, Roberto Canessa, and Antonio Vizintin. Equipped with the makeshift sleeping bag and minimal supplies, Parado, Canessa, and Vizintin set out on their perilous journey. They faced numerous challenges, including harsh weather conditions, a lack of climbing experience, and exhaustion. Despite the difficulties, they pressed on, with the sleeping bag providing crucial warmth during the freezing nights. Their journey led them to a ridge at a higher elevation than they initially anticipated, overlooking a vast expanse of snow-capped mountains. However, they remained determined to find help and descended into Chile, where they eventually encountered signs of human life and were rescued. The use of the improvised sleeping bag played a vital role in their survival, enabling them to endure the freezing temperatures of the Andes nights as they embarked on their desperate quest for rescue. The story of the Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 crash and the survivors' ordeal, including their resorting to cannibalism for survival, garnered significant media attention and sparked sensationalism around the world. False rumors circulated initially, including speculation that the survivors had killed some of their own for food. However, the truth about their survival methods, including cannibalism, eventually emerged. The survivors initially faced public backlash and criticism once news of their cannibalism became public. However, they later explained the pact they had made amongst themselves to sacrifice their flesh in case of death to help the others survive. This explanation, along with the reassurance from a Catholic priest that they would not be damned for cannibalism, given the extreme circumstances of their survival, helped mitigate the public outcry. Despite the initial controversy, the survivors' story became a symbol of resilience and human endurance in the face of insurmountable odds. Their courage and determination inspired many, and their survival ultimately led to a reevaluation of moral and ethical norms in extreme situations. The legacy of the survivors and the crash victims lives on through various initiatives, including the establishment of foundations to preserve their memory and support causes such as organ donation. Additionally, the crash site has become a pilgrimage destination for visitors from around the world, with tours offered to pay tribute to the victims and survivors. Numerous documentaries, feature films, podcasts, and theatrical productions have been created to recount the harrowing story of the Andes plane crash and the remarkable survival of those involved.